Hey boys and girls, just a quick video to explain the deletion of a product, the Exxtender. This is two of them together. Anyone who's used one of these knows that it's invaluable, especially if you're a professional detailer using a rotary polisher. These are only for use on a rotary polisher. It has that 14mm female thread and a 14mm male thread, and it extends the shaft of your rotary polisher out, and you can attach two of these. There's one there and another one there, and you can attach two of them together to get they're each 70mm, so this is 140mm of extension. This is something we came up with. We thought we invented it, and I still claim we invented it because 20 years ago I was looking for this tool and I couldn't find it. That doesn't mean it didn't exist, but I couldn't find it. So we came up with this Exxtender. We came up with version 1. This is version 2, which had just very, very minor modifications made to the design. And we have version 3 sitting as data, as a blueprint on a computer, which is very, very sad. And instead of making and releasing version 3, we're just going to delete the product line altogether. And the reason for the video for that is to better explain why. I actually started typing a post for social media explaining why, and I thought, I can't really explain this properly in text. We need a video. So what went wrong? Why did a product that was selling for, I think, about 10 to 15 years have to go away instead of another revision coming? And basically, these just don't sell anymore. And they are available. There are copies of these available, and cheekily, there are copies available called the Exxtender with 2 X's as well in the name. So as with a lot of things in the last 10 to 15 years, there have been some innovative companies who've had their IP stolen, and the copies have flooded the market where the original product was from, and sometimes even with similar or the exact same product names, and there isn't anything you can do about it. It's one country in particular, of course, and it's very, very cheeky. I don't know. I wouldn't have the nerve to do something like that. I couldn't take someone else's product, make it poorly, make it only slightly cheaper, which is the disastrous thing. Not even improving it anyway, and not making it significantly cheaper. It's just slightly cheaper, simply because it's inferior, and then sending it back out to that market. We even had an email from a company that supplies the copy of these, asking us if we'd like to buy and resell them. To receive an email saying, hey, we've copied your product poorly, we've called it the same name, which is illegal, and we want to sell it back to you for, I think, about $2 less than what it cost us to make this. So the whole thing was just insults from start to end. Now, instead of there are some providers here, instead of them reaching out to Australian providers, Australian car care product resellers, instead of them coming to us and selling an Exxtender, they've bought the copy and they're selling the copy. And even though we've reached out to a couple of them and said, hey, this is illegal and you shouldn't be doing that, they've basically said to us, this is what you can do about it. which is really nasty. My point, and the reason why this is so sad, is it stops innovation, because version 3 was completely redesigned, completely different. It was about, the version 2 came only a couple of years after version 1, so we hadn't learnt much, but version 3 is 10 to 15 years of understanding what's good about this tool and what could be improved, and we improved absolutely everything by it barely appears to be even the same tool. That's how cool it was, or it is. It still exists. The reason we have no faith in going ahead with it is actually more expensive than this, which we don't see as an issue. This is the type of tool that you purchase once and have forever. So I think this costs about, I should know what my own product costs. I think this costs about $30. And the reason why that doesn't seem to matter to me is because as a professional detailer, I would buy a $30 tool and I would buy 2 of them so that I could do this. without even thinking. $60 is nothing. Across 15 years, I've used this thousands and thousands of times. So the amortized cost of this, the cost per job, is in the 1 cent range. It means nothing. So if the product costs $60 or $70 or $100 but was significantly better and improved my work, I would absolutely go ahead and make that purchase. And I wouldn't buy an inferior version for $2 or $3. But the market, that's me, and that's why I was going to go ahead with the version 3. But the market has told me that people absolutely will buy an inferior copy for just a couple of dollars less. That's what will happen. So it doesn't make any sense. I would have to be a poor businessman to go ahead and release a more expensive version of this, even though it's better, a more expensive version of this, which would then be copied poorly again and resold again. And there is nothing we can do about it. It would mean that I haven't learned my lesson from the first 2 versions. So for that reason, the Exxtender will no longer be sold. When we make these in Australia. There's a local company that produces them very, very well. The tolerances are so tight. In fact, the tolerances are so tight I can barely take these apart. They're fused together. You need some quick grips to remove them because they've been used together like this for some time. I've actually got 3 of these. There's 2 that I keep together and 1 that I keep separate, so I don't have to keep pulling them apart. Because again, they're so cheap. They're only $30 each. And I think these are about, this one is, as you can see, have a look at that. That's definitely very, very old and has definitely been used a lot. Yeah, I just can't, I can't release version 3. It was a shame. It was designed, by one of our ex-employees that went on to do this kind of engineering. When we bumped into him and said, "What are you doing these days?" and he told us, I said, "Oh, you've got to help me do version 3 of the Exxtender." And he said, "Fantastic." He did it for free at night after work as a love project. And also these were loss leaders. We didn't make any money on these. They were made, like I said before, in Victoria by someone who makes very, very, very high quality product. They make products for aircraft companies, and so the tools they have, the machines that were lathing these. Is that a lathing? The lathes that were spinning these. There were, I don't know what they were, $1 million each, maybe something like that. A huge expense. So these just couldn't be produced as cheaply as these are brass. They couldn't be produced as cheaply as the mild steel ones that are coming out of another country, where they were spun out in the tens of thousands. We only made about 1,000 of ththese at once. But RMOQs are something like that. They're about 1,000 that we have to make. And having sold about 2 or 3 of these in the last 2 years, I think, I'm not confident in stocking, in producing, paying for and stocking 1,000. That will take 100 years to sell. It's a little bit of sad news. I don't think it's too sad. If you've got one of the Exxtenders, that's awesome. If you want one, unfortunately, I don't have them, which means you're going to end up buying one of the copies anyway. If you think that you're aware of a way that we can make it work and have version 3 released, I'd love to hear about it. But I really don't know how we're going to stop people copying it and stop people copying it poorly and having it available at less cost than we can produce these. Why this is really sad is because and this is why IP is and has been protected. What this does is allows people to invent or reinvent or improve things and have their designs protected so that they continue to have an incentive to innovate. Once you take that away, when you're allowed to have your designs copied and basically that R&D washed away, you have no incentive to then pour more money into R&D, which is exactly what's happened here. So you, the consumer, don't end up with a version 3 of this. You lose the ability to take advantage of that innovation. That's it. I promise the next video will be a bit happier. Have a good week.